Thanks for staying with us here on News from the States. Let's start off with this story. As the world marks the International Day of the Girl Child, the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment has reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring that every girl in Niger State gets access to quality education. The project says it's supporting indigent female students through various incentives to keep them in school. Senior reporter Chineme Bamei has the story.
She will be enlightening the state vision for education and the girl child.
For many girls in developing countries, the dream of going to school still feels far away. It's been 30 years since world leaders adopted the Beijing Declaration, a promise to protect the rights of girls everywhere. Yet, the United Nations says about 133 million girls are still out of school across the world. In Niger State, adolescent girls gathered to mark this year's International Day of the Girl Child at an event organized by Agile, a program aimed at empowering girls through education. For students like Rebecca Ezekiel and Aisha Aliu, the dreams of achieving their plans as adolescent girls is gradually becoming a reality.
We girls, we have to break down the obstacles in us. We have to bring the confidence in us to fight for our rights. We girls are not meant in the kitchen. We have to learn for our rights and education. Discrimination, early marriage, and maybe parents thinking that we are not capable of being educated. Maybe they think our education lies in the kitchen. So that is what I think might be the problem facing a girl's child education.
Stakeholders at the event say when girls are educated and supported, they have the power to transform their families, communities, and the world.
In the schools right now, the first thing we did as a government was to step up Friday as an entrepreneurship day, so that all students in our schools, most especially girls, will develop skills, and we will empower them for entrepreneurship.
Believe me, the number has increased, the enrollment has increased, because even with our CCT program, the conditional cash transfer that we started early last year, we have a tremendous return of the school girls back to school, and it's still ongoing. We have finished phase 1, and we have, presently now we have even enrolled girls for this phase 2 disbursement for the CCT program.
Be blessed.
As the world marks the International Day of the Girl Child, part of the issues on the front burner is still the matters of education for adolescent girl child. This year, there are calls for subnational government to ensure that more girls are enrolled into schools. Chineme Bamei, TVC News, Mina.
Now, TVC News senior reporter Chineme Bamei joins me on the News from the State. Chineme, in Niger State where you are, initiatives like Agile are stepping in to bridge the gap of out-of-school children, especially the girl child. From your vantage point, how significant is this intervention in changing the narrative for young girls here, and are we seeing real measurable results or mostly symbolic efforts around days like this?
Hi, Shita. From Niger State, I can tell you that there's been quite some significant improvement when it comes to enrollment of the girl child. Before now, what characterized the situation is early marriage, and parents that don't even think that sending a girl child to school is anything to be bothered about. Interventions from Agile, you would get more girls coming into school now, especially with some of the incentives like the conditional cash transfer. Part of the problem every time is that some of these girls are sent to the streets of hawk, and it is from the sales that they make that the entire family feeds. It's staggering, you know, and that's enough reason for them not to go to school, because if they stop those petty trading, the family will not feed. So what institutions like Agile is doing is commit to giving these girls some money so that they can actually pause trade for a while and go to school. When they return from school, then they can return to trade. They call it conditional cash transfer. And honestly, we've seen improvement. I've been to schools a couple of times for some interventions, and I've actually seen that these numbers, the number of enrollment is increasing.
Well, stakeholders often say that when you educate a girl, you educate the nation. But beyond this inspiring rhetoric, what tangible socio-economic benefits has Niger State recorded from keeping more girls in school? Are we actually seeing fewer early marriages, higher enrollment, or stronger female participation in leadership or innovation sectors?
Oh yes. In 2024, the Niger State Ministry of Education enrolled about over 44,000 students into SS1 from JSS3. 21,000 of those students were females, and that's quite a huge improvement. We had about 22,000 male and 21,000 female. This is quite a huge significant difference, unlike before where the margin used to be very wide. It tells you that more girls are now getting into school. The socioeconomic benefits, of course, we're seeing more women participating not just in politics, but in entrepreneurship. And you can see them on the street. You have more women getting into business from little support that they get here and there. And, the focus is on the adolescent girl. More often than not, in the mornings during school period, you really do not find them on the street like the case used to be again. So I think much has been done, but more can be done still, because you go to some of these schools and the girls still have problems coming to school. They are the ones that tell you, because of issues like period poverty, is still keeping some girls away from schools. And also, you heard the school reform personnel talking about how they are introducing entrepreneurship on Fridays in schools. Just to ensure that these students can connect schooling and the personal lifestyle that they've been engaging together, so that there will not be any reason to drop one for the other.
Right. Chenemi, in the north, there had been this issue of banditry, insecurity, terrorism, etc. And Niger State is not isolated from all of this. What has the government been doing? And of course, the local government entirely, maybe the security agencies in collaboration with them, what have they been doing to ensure that girls are in school, boys are in school, and schools are entirely safe from issues of insecurity?
When it comes to the issue of insecurity and how it affects education, it goes beyond any of this gender. It's something that everybody suffers, including the father, the mother, and the children, and it affects some of the schools. Unfortunately, and I've been saying it for a while, some schools in Niger State have been converted to military bases. Where security officials stay in order to secure the area. There's a government science college in Kagara. When you go to that place right now, as big as that school is now a compound where that houses security, or that houses the military people. These are some of the problems that we have, especially in the hinterland. Now, you might not find that around the state capital, but when you go to some of these local governments that border states where you have heavy influx of bandits coming from, like, places that border Zamfara, that border Kaduna, when you go to those places, some of the schools have been shut down. But the government said they're trying to ensure that they move students from those areas to some safer schools within the state capital or some local governments that are close by. But like you would agree with me, Ishita, that it's important that schools are close to these people to encourage them to still take their education seriously. So these are some of the challenges that insecurity is currently posing.
Right, interesting stuff. Senior reporter Chinemi Bame, live for us from Niger State. Thank you.